Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day, and today I'm going to do a Thor Ragnarok review while you get to watch me build the lovely 177A Bleecker Street that appears in the film. So this is going to be extremely spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen the film then it's probably best that you go watch it before you watch this, or you really don't care and you want to watch it anyway. So Thor, this is the third film in the trilogy, and Taika Waititi was directing it, and he was amazing. It's the most funniest Thor that has ever come out, the funniest Marvel film that's come out as well. I loved the art style. The art style was amazing. That whole James Gunn-esque space, sort of taking inspiration from the Guardians of the Galaxy and using that to create their own. It was still a Thor movie, but it had that flavour of the Marvel space. I loved all the cameos in it, and it was just a really great movie. The woman that we were seeing the film with, one of the women in the cinema, she was actually hilarious. She laughed really over the top at literally everything, especially the first bit when he's spinning around in the chains, and every time he went backwards, then she was in fits of laughter, which was making me and my friend laugh even more, and we couldn't tell whether we were laughing at the jokes or we were just laughing at her because she was that hilarious and laughing way too hard at the film. I love Taika Waititi's little cameo as, I think his name is Korg. He was great. He added that extra bit of dynamic to the group, stating really obvious things, but just doing it in the most hilarious way. I loved it when his little friend came back to life, and he was just like, "Oh, he's back to life. I've been carrying around all day." It was so funny. And I love, of course, everyone loves Loki. His character development was good in this movie. He kept to his same sort of trickster antics, which I love. I've loved his character since the first Avengers. I think he really makes the Avengers film, and sort of it was nice that he sort of redeemed himself, ready for Infinite War. But I'm still not sure because he's got the Tesseract, obviously, because he picked it up and that's how he got there in the end on the ship, but you don't know what he's going to do with it, because obviously if you've not seen the Infinity War Disney Expo trailer, then you'll know that he's holding the Tesseract, and maybe Thanos is there, maybe Thanos isn't, so it's kind of ambiguous whether he's going to hand over the Tesseract or he's not. And this film also proved one of my theories right. I thought that Heimdall had the Soul Stone, which clearly they made out that he did have the Soul Stone. It's kind of, I think it's more within him, because the whole fact that he could pull Thor to him and see people, obviously he can see where everyone is in the galaxy and the universe. And Jeff Goldblum was, of course, Jeff Goldblum. He was amazing. And I loved all his little Jeff Goldblumness with his little party that he was having on the top of his thing, and the whole Disneyland ride-esque thing that he made Thor go through when he was on his little chair trying to explain what was going to happen to him. That was amazing and very Disney. I like the little Disney references that they put into these movies, especially when we had Ultron and the No Strings on Me, and then this time it's kind of like the Space Mountain ride, but slightly taking one of the Fantasia songs and then a bit It's a Small World. But that was amazing, and I love his party ship. I want a party ship for my birthday to have that playing the song and the fireworks going off. That was so funny when that happened, and really added some random amazing dynamic to that whole scene. Tessa Thompson was amazing as well. She really brought the character to life. I wasn't sure about. I knew Valkyrie was gonna be a badass, but she was a lot better than I thought she was gonna be in this movie, and she really brought her own. She was a match for Thor. She was a lot better than Sif was in the other movies, because I was like, obviously there was some awkward tension between Sif and Loki in the first movie. You're like, well, has there been a past there? But in this one, I think Valkyrie really trumps Sif, and I like the fact that they actually kill people off in this movie, because Marvel doesn't like to kill off characters that often. So it was nice to see that the Warriors 3 are gone. They can kind of take Thor wherever they want to go, whether it's in space, the Guardians, or whether it's doing Earth-based stuff. I'd love to see him do some multiverse stuff. Maybe him, Spider-Man, and Strange. That would be amazing. Just gallivanting through the dark dimension or whatever. Well, the random stuff that they want to do with that. I think crossovers are definitely going to be a key thing in the next phase after we've got Infinity War out the way. Whether they're gonna do the Skrull invasion in the fourth Avengers, and then we'll kind of go into buddy team ups, and Hulk and Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, he's such an amazing actor. I love to see that new progression of of Hulk, and how he can now talk, and it's more of a connection between the two of them. They're more one of the same person now. I think, even though they don't really share the same memories, but you could tell when Banner was getting all stressed out that him and the Hulk are becoming more one of the same person, rather than him having to like shut himself away while the Hulk's being there. I think that's a really great progression. I'd like to see people rumouring that the fact that they're going to do the Hulk story in sort of 3 or 4 films. So it'd be interesting to see if that actually is what happens. So Hulk might get back to Earth after Infinity War, and no one on Earth likes him, and he sort of does the whole "what will Hulk" thing. You kind of alluded to that in the when Thor was saying like, "Oh, no one on Earth, no one likes you. You're the stupid Avenger," and all that sort of stuff. Kind of hinted at that fact, but we'll have to wait and see on that. What else? What else in the film did I like? I liked when Doctor Strange made Loki float for 30 minutes, just free falling. That was hilarious. And then Loki's reaction to that was just like, "You magician." It was so funny. I can't wait to see those two in Infinity War. And obviously we didn't get we didn't get fully science bros, but epic facial hair bros. I cannot wait for that. That will be amazing to see in Infinity War, because I love that comic book strip that goes around on Tumblr. It's so funny. And I think Robert Downey Jr. wants that to happen as well, because that'd be so funny. What else? The soundtrack was amazing. I loved the old Thor soundtrack because it was so ridiculously over the top and regal, like Asgard was in before this film. But I loved all the 80s little electronic vibes that was going on in the soundtrack. It sort of really brought the connection between Thor, Asgard not just being a place outside the Nine Realms, but something that's well integrated within the Marvel Universe. And yeah, loved the soundtrack. And yeah, I like the 2 post-credit scenes. There's only 2 in this film, not like in Guardians when we had to wait half an hour to see about 5 different post-credit scenes. So we had the first one where you see Thor and Loki just standing at the back on the ship talking about what's going to happen next, and then the big I can't remember what it's called, but the one that the Skrulls or the Kree, or whichever one it is that has the big ship, rises up out, and it's kind of like it hints to how Thor hits the Milano on the thing, and the doorbell's gone. So the postman just delivered some parcel and I dropped it on the floor and it says fragile. So yeah, that's gonna be good. And what was I talking about? Thor hitting the Milano. So in that secret footage trailer thing that everyone watched at like 120p, you see Thor hitting, well, if you don't want to know, don't listen, but if you see Thor hitting the Milano screen, the windshield, and Rocket going, get it off, and that probably alludes to the fact that the ship at the end of the post-credit scene comes, attacks that one, and that's how Thor ends up in that situation. The Guardians must be like just flying around and he sort of just flies into them, and probably Loki will use the Tesseract or something to get out of that situation. What else? Let's talk about the build. I had quite fun building this. I actually used a Lego. Someone had made it in Lego, and I'd use that as the front because it was I was trying to look at different references because obviously the building's changed over who's actually been in charge of doing the comic books. So it's kind of had a few different looks, and we haven't really got a good. We did get one shot from the front, I think, in the movie, but yeah, this is probably the favourite bit. I found those weird sculptures in the thing, and I was like, you know what, that looks like some weird like rift thing coming out the ground with like some tentacle Cthulhu rubbish. We need a Cthulhu part in Marvel. I don't know why, but we do. We need some cultist Cthulhu-ness, and I thought that looked quite cool, and using those Spa Day symbols that are supposed to be logos, putting them in yellow, and it looks like the little sparkly thing that he makes. I love that reference that Jeff Goldblum made about Thor's fingers. He's like, it's sparkly. That's so funny. I love the fact that he doesn't have to use his hammer anymore. That was really a great. I think Thor's gone on the most progression since his first movie, when he was such a horrible character. Like, I don't know how you could like Thor at the beginning when he's getting his whole like, you are Thor, son of Odin, la-di-da, you are worthy, and then casting him out, and he was such a rubbish person. But the progression he's gone on, and now I think he's probably one of the most knowledgeable, like, down to earth people in the Marvel universe. Is such a contrast from when he started off in the Marvel universe. I tried to do some fun references in the house to the Doctor Strange film. So I tried to make the 3 doors that he has that go out into, I think it's the desert, the ocean, and the woods. So I kind of tried to do that upstairs, and using some of the I think it's the dark wood, like, tree thing wallpaper that we got from Parenthood. That worked really well. And the boats one from, I think that was in the free update, the boats one. And I also made it so you could actually have 2 people living here. So if you wanted to make a Doctor Strange and a Wong, then you could, and they can live here and train and become the Sorcerer Supreme. What a hard thing to say. Also did the sort of random collection of items they've got in the sanctum upstairs. So I made a cabinet that has I think it's a Cthulhu thing again. A little bit obsessed with Cthulhu. It has been Horror Week. Oh, well, Horror Month. One of the YouTubers that I've been watching has done a Horror Month thing. And I used the author's unlockable wall thing. I thought that would work quite well as the book of Cagliostro. And sort of, he's put it up there so no one can get it. But yeah, I'd made the cape with levitation, which is the best character probably in that film because it's so hilarious, and especially when he was like wiping his tears off, that was so funny. He has more personality than most of the Marvel bad guys. That's not a dig, but it's true. So I used one of the curtains that we have and made it red, and it's got the little gold things. So the cape's up there, and sort of trying to put in all the really old antique-y looking objects. So we've got maps, we've got chests, we've got all sorts of strange and wonderful things. It was quite hard to actually make a real representation of the house, because obviously the house is bigger on the inside than it actually is on the outside, because that's how time, their weirdy dimension things work. So you can't really do that in The Sims unless you want a weird massive back end to your house. But I tried my best, and I like the top bit of the build where you had I scaled up one of the portal windows to make the big circular window that's at the front of his house. And sort of it's a shame you can't look through it because I've scaled it up so much. But it would have been nice if you could have looked through it out. And I tried to do some shots at the end that we'll see in a bit, where I do some little role playing, make him stand in front and do some fun Doctor Stranginess. And I didn't actually make the Doctor Strange character that I made. I tweaked it a bit because I changed the hair and the eyes, because the eyes were too squinty and the nose was too different. So I changed it a bit, but I did have fun in Create a Sim though. I have to admit, I did spend 5 minutes changing the hairs to all women's hairs, and it made me cry of laughter. So you can tell what I like doing in The Sims when I'm extremely bored and just built for 2.5 hours. I got to use a load of the suits of armors as well around. I think that'd be quite funny if they did have suits of armors and they walked around the place. That'd be quite fun. And I put in a bubble machine because obviously it's all a bit trippy, so I thought if your Sims wanted to go around and visit him, they could go have a blow on the bubble machine and have some different emotional effects. I'm not alluding to anything. And I think we're coming to the end of the build now, so finding the last few items that I wanted to put in sort of to finish it off, and just remembering to put the roofs back on because I had to shift everything over so it was symmetrical because it was really annoying me. So all the roofs went out. So here we are having our little machine of a bits at the end, grabbing your books. It's a shame you couldn't do like I should have done a ghost version of him, so it was like his astral projection like floating around. But got some meditation spots and some spots to do yoga, so you can finally get up to level 10 and do some teleporting. But I hope you enjoyed my Thor Ragnarok review and build, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!